Welcome to the Trap Build Guide. This is a build that is becoming more popular. Maybe you've seen people trapping at the middle, and we'll get a chance here to watch a round I played where I took the victory and also was able to pick up an S rating in performance, which is the highest performance rating you can get. I started off this round by grabbing 2 sticks, but before we get into it more, we'll look at the perks. This is what I would recommend generally with the Mastercrafter and Trapper. You can also take Old Painless if you prefer. For airdrops, I like Trapper the best because it's the cheapest. Gorilla's another obvious choice. But I think the punji sticks you can craft yourself. And then there are a few others here that you might consider. The problem with these is that I would consider them to be too expensive. Okay, so we got our sticks. We're going to try to find right away a poison machine. Every punji stick bunch is 5 funk, and it gives you 3. So I think it's very cost effective. And I didn't do it here, but a lot of times when you leave the machine, you'll blow it up. We're trapping the door now, and this is the way I'd recommend to do it, because if you put it on the ground, occasionally people will try to jump through. You can set them back in several rows so that if they do jump through, they'll land on it, but this intimidates more. One thing I should note about this is if you crouch, you can walk through the punji sticks unharmed. Not a lot of people know that. And generally speaking, seeing this terrifying wall of spikes will be enough to deter them. But if you do have someone crouched, just to take advantage of their slow movement speed. Alright, so we looted the building after we made it secure. Now if we have any enemies, we'll be alright. We grabbed a couple more sticks and headed back to make more traps. But unfortunately, I didn't notice I was only at 9 funk here. So that was an error on my part. We'll still get 1 bunch, and then when we run, we should be activating this machine, and that'll give us 5 funk every time you do that. And this is the beginning of trapping off the healing machine. I like to put 1 across on the sides. That's almost for intimidation more than anything. But then you want to sort of make a ring around it with your punji sticks so that nobody's able to access it. And this will come in real handy later, as you'll see later in the video. It's difficult for anyone to take a fight when you can heal as much as you like, and they simply can't. After we got that trapped off, we went and I was trying to make a bow here. The reason for that is, you know, people see the wall of spikes, but then they won't be able to attack. And here is our first opponent. He's trying to come in. It looks like he has a saber already. This could actually be a very difficult fight for us, since we only have the crafted spear. But he sees the wall of spikes and he knows he doesn't have a chance. He's trying to find a way in. I think right now he's going downstairs, but he's not able to find a way to get into the building. I go ahead and finish the bow, which will be handy as he tries to find a way through the perimeter into the building. We can get some shots off on him. I think he's down. We can hear him down at the machine. Yep. We get a few shots off, and ultimately this guy is smart enough to run away. For him, it's really I don't know how I would advise. If he had crouched through, we would just shoot him with the bow. We could easily hit headshots before he got through the traps. If he gets through them, we can just run right back through. So now he's trapped in. It's kind of a lose-lose situation for him. Alright, well now we have 32 funk. We've gotten rid of our enemy. And at this time, we're going to go to the center to play the 3-cart money. Getting that extra loot will help, because one of the big challenges for the trap build is keeping your funk count up so that you're able to continue to build those punji sticks. We crack it. Let's see what happens. And it's Ninja, which is, I would say, one of the better drops, just generally, in terms of having a lot of money. I chucked one of the smoke grenades because I didn't want to leave it for anyone else. They can keep the caltrops. I don't think they're too useful. Now we have our melee weapon, and that's the only melee weapon we're really interested in all the game. Picking up these funk bodies is, again, important. We got to keep that funk count up. And that's one of the reasons you'll rarely see commando or sniper on a trap build. It's just too hard to get your funk up to get that drop, and then also be able to maintain your punji traps. We're collecting some sticks here because now our inventory is in a tough spot with only 3 slots. We've got our bow, we want to keep that. We've got our sword, we want to keep that. So we're going to go ahead and create a satchel here so we can have a couple extra slots for punji sticks and what have you. Any other loot we might find. And a few more arrows will help keep us safe. When we get back to the building, we're going to end up dropping our bow inside, simply because we just don't have the slots. And we can feel pretty confident that we're not going to lose it, just because it's so trapped off, it's not likely that anyone's going to push through. And even if, you know, they had understanding that you can crouch through it, all of those lockers are open. They're going to understand that there's not loot inside. So, the next stage for us here is going to be to getting enough punji sticks to finish trapping off not only the health machine, but also the recycling machine. And then subsequently we'll start trapping up the middle for when the poison gas pushes us to center. That time varies, but the sooner the better. We got real fortunate in this round to have a spawn near center. If you're spawning towards the end of the map, I would recommend looting quickly. You still probably want to build your initial punji sticks to trap off whatever building you start at, and it's also a potential way to get an easy kill if someone tries to push through them. They do a lot more damage than people expect. The fatal damage from punji sticks with this skill loadout with Old Painless would be 4 or possibly 5 punji sticks will bring them to 1 damage. Bleed will never kill them, and you're taking a lot of damage from bleed with these. But that'll bring them down to a single blow of any kind will be fatal for them. And now we're trapping out the middle here. I like to trap the top ramps first because it gives us a big advantage with the bow. But you can also trap down below in the center, especially if you're planning on going to the stage 2 gas where it pushes in so that no one can access the ramps anymore. At that stage, having them in the very, very center is the best place for your punjies, but prior to that stage you get more advantage from having on the upper ramps. If you're planning on spending a lot of time in the middle, you can also certainly put them in the water that surrounds the culmination, or with the water in the inner ring of the culmination, because when the spikes are below the water, they're more difficult to see, and whereas something like this, walking in the door, it's terrifying. Nobody's going to walk through that. When those spikes are hidden under the water, there's a good chance that they won't be seen, and people will step on them. Now, I don't know if you noticed, but we had an enemy here spot us. He's trying to find a way in, and he pops both doors and realizes there's no way he's getting inside. He runs through a few of our traps here, which is good for us. He's going to be taking a lot of damage. He's got the sickness debuff, and now we can go ahead and take quite a few free shots with the bow here. He has some stim buffs. He's got his spear, so we'll never be able to outrun him, but that's not important. We don't want to get too far away from base. If he decides he's outmatched and runs, we're just going to allow that. And here we can take this fight. We have a good amount of health, and we can lose quite a bit of it because we'll be able to run back to the health machine. Fortunately, the bleed from our traps, as well as just our melee attacks, makes this fight easy. Take his stuff, loot, heal, and when we're healing here, we're really at no risk. The only possible risk we can take is thrown or weapons or bow shots. But again, we can still heal while taking those shots, and we can fire back, switch from one side of the machine to the other to dodge, so it's a very low risk situation. We put together some armor. It's getting to be 10 minutes. We're going to be having more fights in the coming time. Gathering sticks here for the punjies we'll need at the center of the map. Fortunately, we got the backpack from our opponent. That's a huge benefit for us. Go ahead and make these punjies. And right now our goal is to trap off the center and just keep taking fights and baiting people into our traps at our survival station base that we have there. Activate the machine as we run away for the extra funk, and head to center. You see when I look at the ground that you can potentially, it'll display where you're placing the traps. If you place them in the water, it's below the surface, so that's a little more obscured. When we place them here, we place one at the beginning, the middle, and the end. And the reason for that is typically the approach to punji sticks is to try to jump over them. We want to guarantee that someone's going to hit one of them, that they can't make a clean jump. So this is placement for maximum jump range, that they can't avoid it. And then if they do jump across and take a single point of damage that gives us an advantage, they're going to be sick. We can get either free stabs. Here we're placing under the water in the center ring. They're very hard to see. The sticks match the color of the ground below to some extent. And generally speaking, in the heat of battle, it's too much for people to keep track of. And they'll inadvertently end up running across it and allowing us to pick up some easy kills towards the end of the game. You can also try to trap off the very center, but again, that'll be obvious, so that puts you in this position of needing to survive until the last moment. And here we find our next appointment. He's got a taser, unfortunately. That's a very popular build, but we'll see here how our trap build is easily able to overcome that. His taser won't allow him backstabs once we're in the range of our trap, so we're just turning our back to make sure he doesn't have superior speed on us. And as soon as we get to our health machine here, his chance of winning this fight is none. So we're out of stamina, it's fine. We're gonna go ahead and heal and regain stamina. He has his taser, realizes he can't use it, activates it, throws it to us, that's kind. And then we have a little more loot to sell. I think he throws that to us out of frustration. He knows that there's no way he can get to us at that healing machine. So we're gonna keep healing and keeping an eye out for him in case he has a bow or some sort of ranged weapon. These are also really good against opponents using chainsaw or orange juice. People using either of those two builds tend to overestimate their strength and will frequently run straight through the traps, only to realize, 3 or 4 seconds later that they've now taken off 80% of their health and that they are an easy kill, independent of what sort of weapon they might have. We're trying to figure out where our opponents are. We'd like to trap off middle. Smoke there indicates that someone popped the last 3-cart Monty crate. Could be an opportunity for a kill. And here's an opponent. Yep.
Wow.
He had hit our traps in center, which we heard.
Down to nothing.
And I think operated the 3-cart Monty. The stalker build opponent was still hanging around. We just fought him previously. That's the same guy who threw the taser at us. So we got the kill on one guy who stepped on our traps now. This stalker build wants to go again. And again, it's the same play. We're just going to run back to our health station and bait. He has no options here without a ranged weapon. He's got his melees. He's trying to throw. As he winds up for the throw, we punish. He's winding up again. He gets the hit here, but now we have it. He can't get to our side of the spikes to recover his thrown item. And we can take our range shots here. And as he runs away, we can punish. He's got a man tracker out. Gets his knife out. A few blocks and a few more slashes. We'll keep that blood stack, bleeding stack on him. And again, we can go back to heal. This is not a fair fight by any means.
Headshot.
And a headshot will fill it, finish it off. So there's an opponent who, in any other situation, would have had a serious advantage in terms of equipment. But thanks to essentially infinite healing due to our traps, we take this fight easily. Here we can sell all of his loot easily without risk. And now is a point at the game that we actually would have the funk to call in some of those more expensive airdrops. But again, this is something of a rarity. You can't count on this. We had the best spawn for this build right near a building that was easy to trap off and near the center. If you're spawning towards the outside of the map, you're going to have to spend a lot of time running towards center, and you may miss some loot in the process. And as you saw at the very beginning, we had really struggled with funk at one time. So that's why I would advise using one of the cheaper builds that will give you access to that claymore. I don't prefer Gorilla because it has 2 punji sticks, which, as you've seen, we have no problem gaining access to. Really what we're looking for is that claymore to lay down at the center ring. People jumping around punjies, trying to avoid punjies, we're liable to walk into it. And we can go ahead and place it on a corner, behind a corner, and punji off so that the only safe path is to walk in front of the claymore. Now this particular game I went with a pretty greedy airdrop of Commando. Not only will it give us a superior bow, which is important for fighting in the center, it'll also give us access to an impact grenade, which can be the final coup de grace. And we of course found the katana, but absent that, the Bowie knife may be the only melee weapon we encounter. Many of our fights, we can simply punch and retreat to traps because the damage is so high. Down to the 2-minute 30 on this timer. It's very unusual for the timer to have run so low without the poison gas spawning as we wait for our airdrop. That's another thing that plays in our favor this game. We had additional time to trap up the middle. If you're in a game where the warning where the poison gas spawns comes at 12 or 10 minutes, you have very much less time to trap up the middle. Okay, he's been hit by a grenade. He's going to run right into all of our traps. He runs across 3, maybe 4 of them. He immediately regrets the situation. He's got the orange juice buff, so normally it'd be a huge benefit, but look at his health. We haven't even hit him. He's gone from full to nothing. We took our impact grenade to do a little damage, and he did the rest of himself running right across his traps. So we get the victory here with 4 kills and a S rank. And that's pretty much how the trap build works. That's what you're trying to do. If you have any questions, you can comment. You can come to the stream at twitch.tv/newbirdo13 and feel free to ask. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like, comment, subscribe, and let me know if you'd like to see guides to any other other builds. This one I think we'll be seeing more and more of in future as the taser gets nerfed. And it's always very entertaining to run. So I hope you guys try it out. Let me know how it works out for you. Personally, one of my favorite builds, and I'd like to give credit to Overdrive, who showed this to me originally. So thanks for watching, guys. Thanks.